For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. The death toll from a simultaneous explosion of hundreds of pagers targeting Hezbollah members in Lebanon is now 12, including 2 children with nearly 2,800 injuries. The pagers exploded Tuesday afternoon in public spaces, including grocery stores and city streets. Lebanon's Minister of Health, Dr. Faras Abiad's comments were translated by Al Jazeera. He says about 200 of the victims will need surgery.
Most of these injuries are either injuries to the face, the head, or the waist part of the body. And as reported, many of these injuries also were reported in individuals' eyes that require surgical operation.
CNN and Axios are among the media outlets reporting Israel was behind the attack. No word from Israel, but Tuesday it said it was sending an elite force to the Israeli-Lebanese border, and returning residents to their homes nearby is a wartime goal. Israel has killed Hamas militants in the past with booby-trapped cell phones. A Taiwanese company believed to manufacture the pagers says a firm based in Hungary was responsible for that. The attacks raised concerns of a wider regional war. Here's U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken speaking during his 10th trip to the Middle East to pursue a ceasefire hostage swap in Gaza, which has spurred the latest escalation of tensions between Israel and Hezbollah.
The United States did not know about, nor was it involved in these incidents, and we're still gathering the information and gathering the facts. Broadly speaking, we've been very clear, and we remain very clear, about the importance of all parties avoiding any steps that could further escalate the conflict that we're trying to resolve in Gaza, to see it spread to other fronts.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken. The UN General Assembly will vote on a resolution today demanding Israel end its, quote, unlawful presence, unquote, in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. This as the war in Gaza nears a 1-year mark. A new report by Save the Children finds 5 Palestinian children are killed or injured each day in the occupied West Bank by Israeli forces or settlers. This since the war in Gaza. Hamas has no control in the West Bank. The Children's Humanitarian Aid Group says child deaths in the West Bank have tripled compared to the same preceding time frame. Settlers and forces fatally shot 115 children, up from 39. More than 1,400 have been injured. Condemnation is growing over Republican attacks on an Arab American woman during a congressional hearing on hate crimes Tuesday. Maya Berry, executive director of the Arab American Institute, was a panelist on the Senate Judiciary Committee's hearing. She joined a rabbi and an expert on hate crimes. Republicans singled out Berry, repeatedly questioning her about Hamas and the United Nations Palestinian Refugee Agency, UNRWA, culminating in Louisiana Senator John Kennedy verbally accosting her.
You support UNRWA and Hamas, don't you?
Sir,
Please.
I think it's exceptionally disappointing that you're looking at an Arab American witness before you and saying you support Hamas.
You know what's disappointing to me?
I do not support Hamas.
Bring yourself
I do
to
not
say
support Hamas.
You don't
or
support UNRWA. You don't support Hamas. You don't.
I was very clear in my support for UNRWA.
Hezbollah, and you don't support Iran. You should hide your head in a bag.
After calm, Berry responded.
It's regrettable that as I sit here, have experienced the very issue that we're attempting to deal with today. The introduction of foreign policy is not how we keep Arab Americans or Jewish Americans or Muslim Americans or black people or Asian Americans, anybody safe. This has been regrettably a real disappointment, but very much an indication of the danger to our democratic institutions that we're in now.
CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, blasted Berry's treatment. Robert McGraw with the organization noted it was a hearing on hate crimes and said instead Senator Kennedy and others chose to be an example of the bigotry Arabs, Palestinians, and Muslims have faced in recent months and years. J Street, a Jewish and Israel advocacy group, also condemned the incident in a statement on social media, writing, quote, to use a hearing about fighting hate to spread hateful anti-Arab bigotry is beyond the pale. Senator Kennedy should be ashamed, unquote. House Speaker Mike Johnson's moving forward with a temporary government funding bill that would prevent a partial government shutdown at the end of the month, despite the lack of support that prompted him to pull the bill from consideration last week. The bill includes a requirement that people registering to vote must provide proof of citizenship. That requirement has become a leading election year priority for Republicans who are raising the specter of non-citizens voting in the U.S., even though it's already a federal crime to do so, and research shows voter fraud is almost non-existent. Senate Republicans blocked a bill to protect in vitro fertilization Tuesday. Edwin Vieira reports.
The bill explicitly granting a national right to access in vitro fertilization again failed to overcome a Republican Senate filibuster, although by a narrower margin. IVF has become a hot election issue, and Trump has even alienated some anti-abortion voters by saying it should be provided at no cost. But Democratic Washington State Senator Patty Murray says families who need it don't want false promises.
The last thing their heart can bear is false hope. So don't you dare breathe another word about helping them get IVF when you are not willing to put up the votes and make it happen.
I'm Edwin J. Vieira for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont says he's summoning the CEO of Novo Nordisk, maker of the diabetes and weight loss drug Ozempic, to testify about its high prices, about $900 a month, after he said he learned a generic version could be sold for much less, $100 a month, but hasn't. He spoke at a panel Tuesday.
Novo Nordisk charges Americans with type 2 diabetes $969 a month for Ozempic, while the same exact drug can be purchased for just $59 in Germany.
Sanders noted on social media generic drug companies say they could profitably sell Ozempic for $100 a month, while Novo Nordisk, which has made nearly $50 billion in sales off of Ozempic and Wegovy, charges Americans nearly $1,000 a month, the highest prices in the world. Why, he asked? Excessive corporate greed, he wrote. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.